Guys, I apologize. This is a long one. This is an all-day sit in the peak of the rut. Mostly all-day sit, all but about an hour and a half from dawn till dusk. So enjoy the video, like, subscribe, share. You may want to watch some of it on 2X, but there is some big buck action, so stay tuned. Time and temperature check. 6:44 on November 7th. It is 44 degrees with barely any wind. I'm in the backyard. We are calling it Squirrel Ridge now because of all the squirrels. Anyhow, I chose to sit here instead of going to the cabin because yesterday, coming into the woods in the afternoon, I came across a giant scrape. I'll try to take a picture of that. And I jumped a doe with a giant buck. I mean a legitimate, probably at least 150 class buck. And so I am here this morning hoping he comes back to check the scrape. Last night I just backed out of the woods. I moved my tree stand to position myself closer to the top of the hill where the deer come out of the bedding, hoping I can catch him on his way to check his scrape. I'm guessing the doe he was with was probably hot. She was probably in heat, but I really have no way to know that, but he was sticking with her. So here I sit. I got about reasonably 20 minutes before there is actual shooting light, maybe even a half hour. So I'm just gonna sit, be quiet, and watch. There was a lot of train activity this morning. The train tracks are only about a quarter mile away with the main depot, and they were switching cars, so it was quite loud, which was able to cover my noise sneaking into the woods. So I was able to really take my time, but it is warm. It's very warm. I've already cut down a layer. So now we're just gonna sit, wait, and watch all day. Today is all day sit time. So we'll see what happens. So it's 8:07. I've seen 7 deer, including the big buck. One, he was out of range. 2, he was on the property line. But right at daylight, this fawn came through and was hanging out very close to my stand. And my release clinked against my stand. So she was eyeballing me pretty much the whole time. She didn't spook. She just hung out. And then 2 more fawns came out, but first on the hill behind me, about 50 yards back, the monster showed himself, but he was on the other side of the property line, out of range and through very thick brush. And 2 doe fawns, it looked like, they were right where he came through, and they started to work their way down toward me. I was just waiting for him to follow, but he didn't. So I don't know if he has a doe locked down up there. But I'm gonna sit here. After those does were well out of sight for about 15 minutes, I grunted. Just very low. I don't like making a lot of racket. I'm not a big fan of rattling. I'm not a big fan of grunts. I'm not a big fan of scents. I think it's 50-50 whether you actually spook something or call it in. So I saw that as a Hail Mary. And hopefully I didn't spook him. Hopefully he's just gonna hang out up there, breed with the doe that he was with yesterday, and maybe make his way back down to check this scrape. So that's what's going on. So, excuse me, I'm still in the stand, but these are the does that I was seeing while waiting for that buck to come out. They were with him initially. I saw the buck first, and these does, and I think they were actually probably fawns, were with him. And, I just gotta say, I can't state strongly enough how much joy it gives me to bow hunt. And if you're a bow hunter, you know exactly what I'm talking about. To sit among God's creation and watch his creation doing what he intends them to do. And, understanding the sovereignty of God and knowing that God is guiding that buck. And if that buck comes by me, I know that God will be guiding my arrow. And if I harvest this buck, it will be because of God's good providence. And if I don't, well, God's probably trying to teach me something. And so I don't get too hung up about my success as a hunter. I work hard as I'm able to, with shooting and practice and improving my skills as a woodsman, even just walking through the woods and trying to not make noise. I see it as a challenge. I see it as a challenge to move like a predator. And in so doing, that God will ultimately reward me or not. But it gives me great pleasure, especially on a Sunday, November 7th. This is worship for me. This is church, and I am in his creation, basking in the goodness and kindness and mercy of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Well, I'm getting down for now. It's going on, it's afternoon. It's after 12. Just gonna go use the bathroom, get a quick bite to eat. And I'm kind of looking for a different spot for the evening stand. Get a little further away from their bedding. See if I can cut them off on the way to food. And, well, come across stuff like that, it gives you a lot of confidence that you've got a good spot and you might be in the right area. So let me just show you what I'm looking at right now. Really what I'm thinking about here is trying to find a transitional point from their bedding cover into food. And so I'm hoping I can find some more buck sign down here. Otherwise, I might just set up a little closer to that scrape. pretty nice scrape. And a couple more rubs down here, but there's also a stand not far away. And this just ain't as good a spot as this is. There ain't room. Not during the peak of the rut. Back up there. It's 1 o'clock, November 7th, and I'm on a little break here. And basically what I'm doing, I'm going to, the property I'm on is only 6 acres and it abuts to 60 acres, which is basically where all the bedding is. And I just know that if I hit one, that's exactly where they're going to run to. So I want to go and talk to him and get permission to track, or at least see how he wants me to handle it. I want to make sure I won't be disrupting anybody else's hunting. I have a little bit of, I guess, discomfort, if you will, because this morning where I sat, I was as close to the property line as I could get without crossing it, according to HuntWise. So if that GPS is accurate, I was a stone's throw from the property line, and I have no intention of ever shooting across somebody's property line. So I was just putting myself in a position so that if that deer came down to hit that scrape, check it in the morning, that I would be there ready to cut him off. And now I've repositioned myself because the evening hunt, I want to be further from bedding. I want to give plenty of space. And I went back to my original tree. So anyhow, I'm just going, I'm almost there. And I'll see if I can record the conversation and let you know how it goes. Well, there's vehicles here, so that's a good sign. Going and say hello to these nice. Well, that could not have gone better, guys. I got to tell you that Randy is a very cool guy. He is a bow hunter. Right in his front yard is a target with arrows in it, and he was skinning out a doe that he got 2 days ago. He's letting it. He's cutting it up now, but he was letting it hang. And so yeah, we looked at the HuntWise app, showed him exactly where I stand. I know exactly where he stands, and he is totally cool with giving me access, which, he's probably in his early 60s, and really gracious, really nice guy. And I think he's just kind of, not going to make a big deal of it at all. And that's a rare thing. And that's why it's just best to be courteous up front, Treat people with courtesy and respect, and you'll get that in return. That's my experience anyways. So yeah, it's 1:40, and I am going to go home, spray down, put on the scent lock, and get back in the tree. All right, time and temperature check. It's 2:53 in the afternoon. It is 62 degrees, wind coming out of the southwest, and it's really nice. It's nice out. In fact, if it wasn't the rut, I probably wouldn't be out here. But because it is the rut, and because I am now 30 yards from that scrape that giant buck made yesterday, I will be sitting here till dark. I've been out here about 45 minutes, and not because I expect to see anything per se, like, at 3 in the afternoon, but I want to be in position and ready so that should something come along, here I am. And we'll see what comes through for the evening. I'm debating in my mind holding out waiting for that buck or taking a doe. I may take a doe if it's big and it presents a good shot. I won't shoot a fawn, not tonight. the whole reason I hunt this back property here is for bucks, or it's for does rather. I'm trying to fill meat tags. I want meat in the freezer. So, but man, I'd love to get a crack at that buck. Randy was telling me about a couple big bucks he's seeing back there. So, they're around. There's scrapes and rubs all over this ridge. So, anyhow, that's what's happening. There he is. Mm. 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 There he goes. Mm. Holy crap, that's a monster. He is on 2 does. just wouldn't get inside 50 yards. Holy cow. You wouldn't follow those does. If you would have come right where those does were, I would have had shot. He's still up there. You can just see him in the dark brush. I don't have my grunt tube. Oh wait, I do have my grunt tube. Well, he stopped. I don't know if he'll turn. Golly, that's a monster. That's no doubt the same buck I saw last night, without question. I was shaking so bad. I don't know if you can even make it out on the video. Oh, man. The buck is still on top of the hill. I see him wandering. He's just crossed back and forth. The does are all the way down in the backyards. I just wonder if he's deciding whether he's going to put himself at risk. The wind is blowing up to the top of the hill. So, I just need him to take a chance. Well, that was a crazy one. He's a big one. He is a big one. And I'm excited. I actually did end up moving my tree stand down about 40 yards closer to that creek bottom. So I'm kind of on the ledge overlooking, if you watched on the video, and I apologize for the video quality. It's shot on an iPhone that's attached to my bow. And I'm just shaking. I don't know if you can tell by the arrow, but man, what a great opportunity. And even though I didn't get a shot at him, there's still a lot of season left. So I'm confident and hopeful. If my new friend Randy doesn't get him first, maybe I'll get a crack at him. But nonetheless, it's great to be in a position to, this is part of the joy of hunting. It's just being in a position to witness a mature buck like that. It's really an honor. And as I said earlier in the video, God guides the deer, God guides the arrow, and if I harvest a buck like that, I'm just the recipient of his grace, and I'm thankful for it. So, and I'm thankful for you watching this video all the way to the end. So if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and share. I'll be back out there tomorrow in the new spot, and look for footage from that one. We'll see ya.